The Merchant of Venice. Sunlight sparkled on the canals of Venice as a young gentleman named Bassanio walked with his friend, the merchant Antonio. Bassanio had a secret to share. I've fallen in love with a wonderful lady named Portia, he told Antonio. She's smart and beautiful, and I'm sure she likes me. Then why do you look so troubled? Asked Antonio. Bassanio sighed. Portia's father recently died and left her a fortune, he said. Now princes travel from far and wide to her palace in Belmont, hoping to marry her. Well, my friend, you know I'll do anything to help you, said Antonio. Money, money is what I need, explained Bassanio. If I could buy fine clothes and gifts for Portia, then maybe I'd have a chance against my rivals. Antonio nodded thoughtfully. I have no money until my ships sell their goods and return to Venice, he said. But people know I'm trustworthy. Find someone who will lend you the money you need, and I promise to pay it back when my ships come home. Come home. Bassanio's face lit up. He thanked Antonio. When I'm married to Portia, all my debts will be paid, he said happily, and with hope in his heart, he went off to find someone who would give him a loan. At the marketplace, he met Shylock, the moneylender. Shylock was reluctant to help Bassanio at first, but when he heard that the money would be repaid by Antonio, he became very interested. This may be a way to get my revenge on Antonio, Shylock, Shylock thought to himself. How he loathed him! How he loathed him! He steals my business by lending money without a charge and speaks ill of me to the other merchants. But Shylock showed none of his hatred to Bassanio. Let us discuss what you need, he said. At the moment, Antonio himself appeared. He was dismayed to find Bassanio talking business with a moneylender whose greed he despised. Well, Shylock, said Antonio briskly, will you lend 3,000 ducats to my friends here? Shylock stroked his long beard. Signor Antonio, he said, many times you have called a cut-throat dog. No doubt I'll call you the same again, said Antonio. But this is business. If I fail to repay the loan, think how much you enjoy demanding a penalty from your enemy. I only wish to have your love and goodwill, said Shylock slyly. To show my friendship, I will lend you the money without charge.
Bassano sighed with relief. But if the loan is not paid back exactly 3 months from now, continued Shylock, you must pay a penalty. A pound of your flesh, Antonio, cut from a place nearest your heart. Bassanio's relief turned to horror. I won't let you agree to that, Antonio, he cried. Shylock looked offended. But I make this offer in friendship, gentlemen, he said. If my money is not repaid, all I'll gain is a pound of flesh, which is worth nothing at all. Although Antonio knew that Shylock's friendship was false, he could not refuse the money leader's chamber. Determined to help Bassanio, he agreed to accept the condition of the loan. My ships will return long before the money is due to be repaid, he assured his friends. Bassanio took Shylock's money and bought fine clothes for himself and gifts for Portia. His friend Graziano, who had accompanied him on his first trip to Belmont, was also eager to return, so they set sail together. While Bassanio and Graziano travelled towards Belmont, Portia was growing tired of all the unsatiable men who came to visit, hoping to marry her. Before her father died, it given her three caskets, one made of gold, one of silver, and one of lead, and insisted that only the man who could guess which casket contained Portia's portrait should marry his daughter. It's so hard not to be able to choose a husband for myself, Portia said as their maid, Nerissa, set out the castle for the arrival of the Prince of Morocco. If I was to choose a husband for you, my lady, it would be that handsome man who came from Venice to visit your father, replied Nerissa mischievously. Portia, Portia remembered the young Venetian very well. Yes, Bassano was his name, wasn't it? She said. He was certainly handsome, and she turned from Nerissa to hide her blushing. When the Prince of Morocco entered, Portia told him of her father's test. One of these three casts contain my portrait, Prince. If you choose that one, then I will be your wife. The Prince of Morocco accepted the challenge. First, he read the inscription of the cast of lead. Whoever chose me must risk all he has. No man of wealth would risk all he has for worthless lead, scoffed the prince, so he turned to the silver casters. Whoever chose me will get what he deserves, he read. I'm a man of noble birth, and I deserve the fine thing, so surely I deserve the Lady Portia, he thought to himself. But, to be sure, he read the inscription on the gold casket. Whoever chose me will get what many men desire. The prince smiled. Many men came to gaze at your beauty, my lady, he said to Portia. This must be the right choice. However, to the prince's dismay, the casts only contained a skull with a note beside it. All the glisten is not gold, he read. The Prince of Morocco realized that it been unwise to choose by appearances. With a heavy heart, he departed. A short while later, the Prince of Aragon arrived. He studied the casket carefully, like the Prince of Morocco. He refused to risk anything for a casket of lead. He also dismissed the casket of gold. I won't choose what many men desired, he said, because most men are fools. So he turned to the silver casket. Whoever chose me should get what he deserves. Well, that's just how it should be, he decided, and I deserve the best. The prince opened it up, but he was disappointed to find the portrait of a jester inside.
It seems I came here with one false head and I go away with two, he said sadly. Portia heaved a sigh of relief as she watched him go. However, Nerissa hardly had time to put the caskets away when a messenger announced that another suitor had arrived from Venice. Please let it be Lord Bassanio, she whispered to herself. Portia and Bassanio greeted each other with great joy. As Nerissa had suspected, Bassanio had won her mistress's heart the moment they first met, and now he confessed that he'd thought of nothing but Portia's hands that day. Bassanio told Portia how his good friend Antonio had helped him, but she only cared that he loved her as much as she loved him. However, they could not be married unless Bassanio faced her father's test and chose correctly. Nerissa set the three caskets before him. I am looked in one of them, said Portia. If you love me, you will find me. Portia desperately wished that she could tell Bassanio which casket to choose, but all she could do was watch silently and trust that her father's test would bring her true love's happiness. Bassanio studied the caskets thoughtfully. He wasn't tempted by the shining gold and silver. Beauty can't be trusted, he said. It's often used to discuss something ugly, but the lead casket promises nothing. It only asks that I risk all that I have, which I'm willing to do for love. To Portia's delight, he opened the lead casket and found her portrait inside. Myself and all that is mine I give to you, said Portia. Nerissa and Graziano smiled at each other and congratulated them. Well, now at least I can marry too, announced Graziano, and he revealed that he and Nerissa had also fallen in love the day they first met. Nerissa vowed not to marry me unless Bassiano wed her mistress, he explained, so I thank your lordship for giving me a wife. Their two weddings soon followed, but a month later a letter arrived that cut short everyone's happiness. Antonio's ships have all been wrecked, Bassano read aghast. Our loan hasn't been repaid on time, so now Shylock is demanding his pound of flesh. You must hurry to help your friends, said Portia. We have gold to pay the debt 20 times over. Bassanio and Graziano set sail at once for Venice. Unable to pay his debt, Antonio had been arrested and looked up. From his prison cell he tried to reason with Shylock, but the cruel moneylender showed him no pity. The law must give me justice, Shylock said. I'll have my pound of flesh. You called me a dog, Antonio. Well, now you'll see my fangs. Meanwhile, Portia came up with her own plan to help Antonio. After all, we owe him our happiness, she told Nerissa. First, she took advice from her cousin, Dr. Ballario, who was a learned lawyer, and then she and Nerissa set off for Venice themselves. On the day of Antonio's trial, he was brought to the courtroom before the Duke of Venice. I'm sorry for you, Antonio, said the Duke. Shylock is an inhuman wretch. But Antonio was resigned to his fate. He knew that his bargain must be kept. The law couldn't save him from Shylock's revenge. When Shylock entered the courtroom, the Duke asked him to show mercy toward Antonio. The moneylender cruelly refused. I hate Antonio, he said. I wholly demand what is due to me.
Then Bassanio stepped forward. For you 3,000 ducats, I offer you 6,000, he said. But Shylock just shrugged. If you offered me 6,000 times 6,000 ducats, I wouldn't take them, he said with a sneer. I want my pound of flesh. Shall I have justice? The Duke told the court that he wished to wait until the learned lawyer, Dr. Bellario, arrived, before making a judgment. At the moment, a young lawyer and his assistant arrived in court with a letter from Dr. Bellario. Bassanio and Graziano didn't recognize their wives in disguise. The Duke read the letter. Dr. Bellario is unwell, he told the court, so instead he has sent a brilliant young lawyer named Balthazar. The Duke asked Balthazar to speak. Portia pressed her false bird firmly to her chin and stepped forward. I have read the details of this case, she said gruffly. Antonio, do you agree that you owe money to this man, Shylock? She asked. Antonio agreed. Then the moneylender must be merciful, she said. Shylock scowled. Why should I? He replied. Mercy is twice blessed, Portia told him. It blesses the one who gives it and the one who receives it. I don't care about mercy. I've done nothing wrong. Shylock shook his fist in frustration. I only want the law, he demanded. Bassanio explained that he'd offered to repay the loan, but his money had been refused. Then the law says that Shylock has the right to his pound of flesh, announced Portia, to be cut off near the merchant's heart. Everyone in the court gasped. Shylock's eyes glinted with malice. He took a knife from his bag and began to sharpen it. The sight sent a chill through the court. Prepare yourself, Antonio, said Portia. Shylock took a pair of scales out of his bag, ready to weigh the flesh, and grinned with wicked anticipation. But as he raised his knife, Portia had a warning for him. Take care, Shylock, she said. The penalty you agreed to was a pound of flesh, but he said nothing of Antonio's blood. If you shed one single drop, the Duke has the right to take your life. Shylock froze, with the knife on his hand. He couldn't take what was owed to him without losing his own life. He realized that he'd been outwitted. Then give me the money, he cried. You've already refused it, said Portia firmly. The law only grants you the penalty. The moneylender cursed under his breath, prevented from having his money or his revenge upon Antonio. Shylock looked away, empty-handed and humiliated. Then Antonio was realized, although he wished to thank the young lawyer who had saved him. Portia and Nerissa hurried away from the court to get home before their husbands. When the two couples were reunited and deception was relieved, there was much laughter in Belmont. Portia and Bassano agreed that their happiness was now complete, with the freedom of their good friend Antonio, the merchant of Venice.